G'day, Coach Gaz here with another episode of your fortnightly Ask Gaz Anything. If you're tuning into this broadcast, I would love to hear from you. Give me a hey, give me a hello, give me a love, give me a like, give me a thumbs up, or give me something and let me know you're out there. If you happen to watch this on replay, put replay in the comments. And if you find this of value, just put value in the comments. Give me some feedback. I love to see these broadcasts go through. Love to ask your questions. We always get a nice little selection, and that's what we're doing today. So I am Coach Gaz, and I am here to answer your questions. Jacqueline, thank you for tuning in, and I hope this is of value to you. So we've got 3 questions that I'm going to address today, and I'll give you a preview of what we're covering. And yeah, let me know if this gives you what you need in terms of answers. So the first question actually ties into when to soldier on and when to be kind to yourself. That's from Jenny. Another question for AGA today is, why do I look at myself some days and I look and feel okay, and then some days I feel flabby? That's the second question that we've got. And the third question is, how do I increase my appetite? Is there a supplement I need to take? And that is from Jada. So we're going to tackle these 3 questions roundabout in that order. And believe it or not, some of these, especially question number 2 and question number 3, tie in with each other. So the first one is when to soldier on and when to be kind to yourself. And you know, Melbourne's going through another transition phase, so this may actually be really, really relevant, even though it was asked before all the latest COVID stuff happened. And I know it's related onto times of stress and mental fatigue. But it's a really interesting question. And what I'd say to you is this, is that what you want to build out is you want to build on a structure so it's easy for you to continue your forward momentum. And we look at this in terms of building a business. You want to build in structures that allow you to continue to develop your business each day, and you don't have to think about it. You don't have to rely on willpower. And in terms of fitness and in health, you also want to do the same thing. You want to see if you can build in structures, dynamic structures and support mechanisms in order to keep you moving forward. And that way you don't have to grit your teeth and grind it out most days. You can rely on a flow. You can start to build a flow. You know, it's kind of like starting a bike wheel turning, right? When you first start on the bike, those first couple of pedals can be kind of hard to build up momentum. But once you get up to speed, you only have to continue that slight push in order to keep your forward progress. You hit a hill, it's much harder to start up a hill from a dead stop. But if you've already got some momentum going, it's much easier for you to get up that hill with a little less concentrated effort that time. And so what you want to do is you want to build in structures that support you and help guide you along the way. Now, here's the thing, is that once it's set, it's not set and forget, right? It's never set and forget. Our life is dynamic, our life changes, our lifestyle changes, things come off left of field, and we always need to be able to adapt. So what I tend to do is I tend to get people to focus in on a quarterly basis, much like you would in a business, right? Ties into the business quarters very nicely because we deal with a lot of business professionals and help those business leaders and their teams, but also just in human nature. Human nature tends to be in a 12-week focus. If we set a longer term goal, we may have a 5-year goal or a 10-year goal, or even a 1-year goal, but we need to break it down into digestible chunks in order to tackle it. So if you can set yourself a structure that will see you through for a quarter, and then you won't have to grit your teeth and push yourself through it as much because you've got that structure in to support you. Now, the thing is, what happens if you drop the ball? What happens if you don't live up to that structure? You got all the things in place and your environment is there to support you, but you drop the ball. You're human. It happens, right? The thing that we look at in one of our core values relates around functional relationships. And a functional relationship is something that when the ball does get dropped, when something happens, you don't berate yourself for it, all right? And that comes in the aspect of being kind. So you can institute discipline without being an anarchist about it, not anarchist, a dictator about it. So you can institute discipline without being mean, for lack of a better term. You can institute structure without having to berate yourself. And so just because you've got discipline and structure and routine in your life doesn't mean when you drop the ball that you have an opportunity to be mean to yourself. So Jenny, this is my answer to you. Build in structures to support your fitness goals, to support your business goals, to support your health goals, and to support the positive activities that will help you create that momentum and flow. If you drop the ball, it may be an opportunity to reassess whether those structures and supports are the right thing, but never ever talk yourself down about it. Because that's the dark dog in our mind. That's the black wolf in our mind. And that's something that we don't need to feed, all right? It's something that we need to acknowledge, note, and move forward. Hopefully that answers your question. I don't know if that was a long way to go around that answer, but that's what you got. So another question, why do I look at myself some days and look and feel okay, and some days I feel flabby? It's a really interesting question, right? And I got this from a client of mine who's been going through and they've been getting some good results in terms of weight loss, and they've been progressing nicely. And then they wake up one day and they're like, I feel flabby, right? I feel a little like, eh. And it's a really interesting question. And my answer to you is this, is that there's a couple of things that can go into this. One of the big things is bloating, right? Bloating and fluid retention. Because when your digestive system isn't working the way that you want it to be, and your belly's a bit distended and you feel a bit heavy and you feel a bit sluggish, you will naturally look at yourself and you're like, oh, look at my gut, right? It's hanging out everywhere. And it's a really big slap in the face sometimes, especially if you've been progressing nicely. So here's some ways you can beat bloating and help reduce the chances of that happening. One, water intake. Always look at your water intake. Pure water intake is one of the things. I just need you to drink water, right? If you're drinking 5 glasses, drink 6 glasses. If you're drinking 1 glass, don't try and go out and chug an Elle Macpherson 3 liters before breakfast, because you will spend the rest of your life on the toilet. But progressively build up your water intake. 2 is to make sure that you're eating enough prebiotic food. This is typically referred to as high fiber food, because you want to create a nice environment in that gut for the good bacteria to flourish. And you may also want to introduce some good bacteria in the form of probiotics into that system once you cleaned it up. The other thing relating to this is stress. Now, stress puts you into a highly sympathetic state, high stress state. When you're in that high stress state, your digestive system starts to shut down because you enter that fight, flight, or freeze, right? And all of those situations, whether you're fighting, whether you're running away, flighting, or whether you're freezing up like a possum, all of those situations, your digestive system will shut down. And for some people, their digestive system is in a kind of a delicate state. So they're in a high stress state, digestive system shuts down, they introduce some foods that don't really agree with them, and bloating sets in. All right, if you know anything that gives you gas, right, probably not a great thing to eat it. I remember I saw a promo for SBS Insight, and they were talking about intolerances, and this guy stood up, he goes, I've got a problem, is that I'm lactose intolerant, but I love dairy, and the problem is not so much for me, it's for the people around me when I eat that cheese. And the advice ranged from like, go live your life, to maybe be a bit more considerate of others, because no one wants to smell your stinky cheese gut as they're going through their daily life. So maybe cut back on the foods that do make you gassy, and be aware of that. Also, in terms of digestion, you want to make sure that you're actually digesting food properly. So if you're in the habit, and I was bad at this and I still slip into it, is like wolfing your food down and protecting it furiously so no one else can take it from you. It's not great for digestion. Your first stage of digestion actually occurs in your mouth. The mastication, all right, the chewing up of it, the saliva, it all helps the food break down, and then it goes down into your digestive system and it starts the process off nicely. Now, if you're like gulping in your food, you're taking in air, which can create a burpy kind of environment, but you're also not digesting your food that well. So that can be an issue as well. When we talk about fluid retention, you want to look at cutting down your salt. So if you're eating a highly processed food diet, it may be like healthy kind of versions of stuff, but you may want to look at dropping your salt. And then we're going to talk about magnesium and vitamin B6 in a couple of different ways. But we're going to talk about that in the next topic. And the next topic is this. Gaz, Ask Gaz anything. How do I increase my appetite? Now, for some people, they might be like, why would anyone ask this? And you got to remember that our personal circumstances aren't other people. And it's very easy for us to think about health, fitness, and wellness and go, well, why would someone ask a question about how to eat more? Everybody surely wants to eat less. Like, that's our problem. But for some people, if they're looking to transform their health, they actually need to eat more. For some people, and this isn't exclusive to guys, it can happen to girls as well, is that they actually want to feel more robust. They want to feel stronger. They want to actually put on some healthy weight, and that helps them a lot. So this is a legitimate question. So there's some things that I wanted to talk about in terms of this. Now, one of the things that happened was the person that asked this, they asked about supplements, and I will address the supplements, but I also want to address some other things. So one of the ways that you can start to increase your appetite is the reverse of what you would do is if you were looking to lose weight. So if you're looking to lose weight and start to create a bit of a caloric deficit, I would give you advice like, make sure that you eat slow, make sure that you leave the table a little bit hungry, so you're about 80% full, so you're satisfied but never stuffed, right? And you may look at the frequency of what you're ingesting and the type of food that you're ingesting. If someone's looking to gain weight, well, the opposite can also ring true in terms of you need to eat more frequently, perhaps. You may need to leave the table feeling just a little bit full, not overly stuffed, but a little bit full. You may actually want to drink some calories, so you may look at some smoothies that are high in nutrition, but also high in natural calories, and that will introduce more to your diet. You want to make sure that you're consuming more high-fat foods, more of the healthy high-fat foods. That will increase your caloric intake and your nutrition, right? And you may want to actually go to the steps of having like a bigger plate. When you're looking to lose weight, a smaller plate can give you the perception that you're eating more, but when you're trying to gain weight, a bigger plate and the less food on it with more space can actually make you think that you're kind of consuming less. The other thing is that making sure that you're keeping your activity up. Your activity will help drive your appetite. And this is the kind of paradox that a lot of people have, is that when they increase their cardio activity without restraint, they often find that they stimulate their appetite so much that they actually consume more food. And so that equilibrium is still out. But for someone who's looking to gain weight, you may look at making sure that you increase that incidental activity as well as your planned activity in a way that actually stimulates your appetite, and you're eating at those peak times. Again, you're not stuffing yourself full, but you're eating at those peak times. So that's what some of the things that you can do. Hopefully that's helpful. Now, in terms of supplements, one thing that you want to look at is possibly your zinc intake, because if you're deficient in zinc, your appetite can actually go down. All right, so zinc is one of those really nice, vitamins that can, once added to your diet, can have a lot of additional help. It also helps with the immune system, by the way. So if you're having a loss of appetite, your taste is changing, you're slow to heal, and you do have some hair loss, that's extreme zinc deficiency, hair loss, you may look at needing to introduce some zinc. One of the first things, though, is a loss of appetite with that. Vitamin B1, and this is where B complex can be good for this question and the previous question. So vitamin B1, also known as thiamine, that's essential for growth and development. So if you're having a deficiency in that, you can also have appetite loss, weight loss, and you may also have more foggy days. So you might get confused a little bit more. Your omega-3 fatty acids, I talked about omega-3s and good fats before. You want to make sure that you're introducing a regular source of omega-3 rich foods, and you may also complement that with supplements. There are typically marine-based supplements out there. Just as a proviso, I don't take marine-based supplements, I take vegan-based supplements because I do have a shellfish allergy. So I'm mindful about what goes into them. Good for some people, not good for me necessarily. So those are some of the things that may actually help you start to not necessarily just increase your appetite, but increase your caloric intake while still maintaining some good nutritional principles. That is me, Tim Morgan. thank you for tuning in, mate. Legend. John Valenti, thank you for tuning in. Fantastic to see you tune into my broadcast. Maybe I need some vitamin B6. This has been Coach Gaz with Ask Gaz Anything. Keep an eye out because next month, boom, we're going to be doing a lot of focus on push-ups. The reason why is because the push-up challenge, National Push-Up Challenge, is on again starting in June. And I believe the number this year is 3,818. And so I'll be taking on that challenge, that number of push-ups over the course of the month. And I highly encourage anyone watching this or in this group to either grab 2 or 3 people, form a little team, or to do it yourself, because what it does is it helps raise awareness and fundraising for youth-related mental health issues. And unfortunately, 3,818 is the number of suicides in recent years. So, you know, a lot of people are going through a tough time. A lot of people have, you know, issues dealing with it, and that's not an indication of their character or, you know, of anything else. It's just people going through a tough time. So I highly encourage you, you know, to just tune in. Don't worry if you can't do push-ups, do squats, do something, but let's take June to really give to other people and see if we can put some good back into this world, and it gives us something nice to focus on for our own personal health as well. This has been Ask Gaz Anything. I will see you next time in 2 weeks. Ask me your questions, put them in the group, hashtag them with AGA, and I will see you folks later. Bye.